Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying time is here. That's right. We're talking about 1989 Death Spa on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. Your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the Star Body Spa. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And we're going to unpack all the goriest of details of Death Spa in the hopes that a young jazzercise addict's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes that we can make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person I trust, that if I need desperate help to get my hand out of a blender that's unplugged, she will end up dying by frozen fish. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
100% plausible.
I think it's plausible for all of us.
We're just rolling around. You're screaming. You're just listening to, an impossible amount of blood coming out of you. And I'm just like, oh God, help! Someone help me! Oh God! To a room full of people who are just completely checked out and not noticing what's happening.
No, they're just in a Mardi Gras sort of trance,
reverie.
They're like the nuns and. What is the devils, where they're just so into what they're doing they can't fathom that any sort of malice is happening, and then you get sucked into a walk-in freezer.
And like the devils, this movie is very horny, but in kind of a gross way.
It absolutely is. But before we get into the horniness, Gina, I don't want to scare you, but we are not alone. That's right. We have a special guest. You, of course, know her as a writer, digital strategist, a podcaster, obviously for her show, Waiting to Exhale. And of course, now she's a returning champion here to Kill by Kill, the one, the only Wynter Mitchell. How are you doing today, Wynter?
I'm so happy to be here with you, Patrick and Gina. Thank you for having me back on such an amazing occasion. There's no other film I want to deep dive into more than Death Spa. It was so fun to come back to this material. Good grief.
Every time I watch it, I find a new level of insane that it is. I mean, it is just it is like that movie that I feel is bonkers. Like in our previous Kill by Kill episode, we had covered Evil Speak, which has a great back 15 minutes and then an hour and 15 before that, where almost nothing happens.
Right.
This is the last 15 minutes of Evil Speak stretched out for 90 minutes.
Exactly. That's literally the best interpretation and reference you can make for it. It is bananas from minute one.
Yes, it is. It's off the chain.
Yeah, it's off the chain. I love it. Even the fake lightning bolt. The moment that fake lightning bolt over Laurel Canyon, I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah. Here we go.
Because Los Angeles, an area known for lightning storms.
Exactly.
It's just constant here. Just,
A regular Transylvania, if you will.
People often refer to LA as the Transylvania of the West.
Exactly.
A lot of vampires, a lot of spooky castles, a lot of lightning storms. Now, Wynter, you had seen Death Spa before, and I have seen Death Spa before, but Gina, had you seen Death Spa before?
I was almost certain that I had not. I think I had been confusing it with Killer Workout.
Exactly.
Sure.
Which because there is more than one horror movie that takes place in a health spa.
Yes.
But when they got to the big reveal of the twin brother sort of acting as the conduit for the dead sister, I thought, you know what? I think I have seen this. If I did, it was ages ago. But for some reason, that part of it felt very familiar to me.
Yeah, it is a wild twist. That is for certain. I had never seen this before until it came out on Blu-ray. And I blind bought it. I saw it on a store shelf back when stores had physical media. And I'm like, whatever this is, it's from 1989. It's called Death Spa. You look at the cover art and it's a lady in, 80s era workout gear with a skull face. And you're like, how could this be bad? And you know what? It's still one of the best $23 purchases I ever made at Fry's Electronics. It's just top-notch entertainment. And it starts right away on my Blu-ray. It opens with this Gorgon video logo that is fucking amazing. It starts out in 4:3 in standard def and then goes high def. And I'm like, oh my God, whatever this is, I can't wait for it to start. And then it does. We open on several buildings that are now owned by the Church of Scientology. It's an important reference.
No, that is not true, Patrick. Patrick, yes. I'm very upset with you because you should know better.
Okay, what am I looking at then?
Okay, it's Sunset Boulevard and Crescent Heights Boulevard.
Oh, that's way east than I thought this was.
Yes.
See, I thought it was over.
You thought it was on Franklin.
Yeah.
And no, that's Chateau Marmont. You see the Marlboro Man billboard to your left there. And then I took notes because that's how much I love y'all. I don't even do it for my own podcast. I don't. Karen will attest. She does the notes. I just show up. No, it is the Lytton Savings Building that was declared a cultural landmark, recently torn down this past fall in the cloak of darkness because of where they thought no one was paying attention. It was a mini mall. There was a McDonald's. There was a karate dojo, a frozen yogurt situation.
So it was every mini mall in Los Angeles.
It was every mini mall in Los Angeles, but that particular building, that where the gym is located, was a very, it's not going to be a Frank Gehry situation, but that whole area right there, that's the Chateau Marmont corridor going over to the canyon.
There's so many apartment buildings there now. I don't know that I've ever seen the Chateau Marmont from under Sunset Boulevard.
Yes.
I only have seen it driving across Sunset Boulevard. And the one time I was dragged there for a bachelor party, and my skin wanted to leave.
Those were the ghosts trying to take it off of you. Sure. No, I thought that was an interesting. I was so surprised that was the location of Death Spa, Starbody Spa, rather. Right. Starbody Spa.
We open on a shot that is via cherry picker and Steadicam. So they put a camera person on a cherry picker and it lowers to the point where she can step off, and we wander throughout Starbody Health Spa. Of course, that's not before the lightning strikes the neon and it just says Death Spa. So welcome to Death Spa, everyone. I
like that the sign just looks like it's made out of that sort of like that LED tubing.
Yeah.
That you see in like a 12-year-old girl's room.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think they needed to up the wattage of it a little bit because a lot of it fades and goes away. I'm not really sure what that's about, or they couldn't light it properly. Whatever it is, they got the shot they needed, and so the Steadicam then wanders throughout the rest of this, this health spa, and while this is happening, in your ears, you're hearing two different musical themes. There's a tinkling piano and then an aggressive "my hand fell asleep on a Casio" sort of and they're playing at the same time, and you kind of wish like one of them would choose what the theme was. But this is interrupted by a woman we will come to learn is Laura, and she is how can I put this correctly? Aggressively prancing?
Jazzercise.
Yeah, this is angry jazzercising.
Right.
She is really working some things out with this routine.
There's a lot of air punching. There's a lot of aggressive hop skipping. At one point, she rubs her butt against the glass wall. Who doesn't do that?
Right.
And then after the end of that, Marv walks in, played by the great Ken Foray.
What in the goddamn hell is he doing in this movie?
Exactly.
Listen, man, Ken Foray's got a mortgage like the rest of us. He's got to pay for where he is.
What compromising photographs was he shown to agree to sign on to this movie?
I mean, for him, through, and this was during a sort of Ken Foray renaissance, because this and From Beyond are kind of in the same time frame. Like From Beyond, I think, happens after this. But
right.
He had a mini renaissance. I wish he was an all-assance. I wish I could see Ken Foray every week on something. So he's not an unwelcome presence here by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and my first thought was, oh, please don't kill him off.
Oh, no, not because that outfit alone.
Oh, my God.
Worth.
The like Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat outfit?
Yes.
What prompts this jacket that he wears? Because not only does he wear it, later on, another coworker dons the same thing. So is it a uniform? Is he known for this jacket?
I feel like it's that era and it's that region, right? They're on Sunset Boulevard, so everybody, the owner pulls up in a Porsche. Yes. Then you've got all of these people wearing different lycra, like it's their post-workout lycra. Yeah. And then at one point, the owner's office is filled with Native American beaded vests.
Okay, so what is up with the decorative vest as office decoration?
He's got a cattle skull mounted on the wall.
At home, he has a metallic cattle skull.
Exactly.
So it's a theme that extends not only at work, but also at home. And listen, we're going to get all into his home because that is a separate conversation.
Yes.
Like all right, fuck it. If we're talking about dangerous places to be, which one is the most dangerous place? Michael's house, which is all corners and unrailed stairways.
Where he leaves his accidentally blinded lover to like wander around by herself, where there's stairs and lots of pointy things. And
there's also a dining room table that has like a 5-foot drop behind one entire side of the seating area.
If you pass the salad wrong, you're falling a floor. That's how dangerous his fucking house is. He is sleeping in some sort of waterbed inside of a triangle? A triangle.
A cement triangle, okay? A cement, like a cinder block triangle.
There are so many things wrong with this fucking house. Yes, he has a blinded girlfriend who's like, hey, I'm just going to leave you here. Make sure not to poke your eyes out on this metal cow skull I have mounted to the wall.
Right near the front door.
Try not to fall down the stairs.
The 2 sets of stairs.
That I can't even bother to put up a baby gate or something in front of.
Like, he was going to raise a child in this home? No.
No.
Now, this is the kicker. This is the one I noticed this time. His jacuzzi is on a balcony overlooking the hills of Hollywood. The canyon. But there's no railing around the jacuzzi.
No.
It's just wood decking. And if you hold on, I'm going to get a beer wrong, you're falling down into the valley. That's not okay.
Is right. None of it was thoughtful.
No, but it's not like they built this house for this movie. This house existed, and it is a
100%.
fucking death trap.
Well, he's not a big fan of safety because
his
health spa is entirely run by computers, which I am trying to figure out how that. It's been 24 hours since I've watched Death Spa, and I'm trying to figure out how manually operated exercise equipment, like a weight machine, for instance, is operated by a computer.
Right. How does a standing bike that is not connected by any sort of power cord, how is the resistance increased by a computer? Like, Wynter, you you have like one of those bike things, right?
Yeah, I have a Peloton, and like
Right.
it's 2021. We've
Yeah.
made it through the internet, and I can see today how that's reasonable. In 1991, there's absolutely zero fucking way that would have existed back then.
No.
There's just no way.
No. I mean, everyone has key cards, and you would think like, oh my God, key cards. But they're still like running it through with a fucking
They
magnetic
still
strip.
had to take boxes and shove them down whatever the hell that metal thing was.
Yeah, this high-tech health spa still has a murder basement.
Exactly.
That is just covered in black tarps, but still has a shipping receiving window.
Yes.
Like, what are they getting in these
And not
massive
particularly
vaults?
clean, by the way. Even before the craziness started, it looked like a fucking disaster down there.
No, this whole thing reeks because spoiler alert for Death Spa, the lawyer Tom is trying to steal it out from underneath Michael.
Right.
And so not only do you have a ghost story going on, but he's actually physically trying to fuck with it. So that I don't know, is this a tax dodge? Like, do we have the producers happening here on top of Death Spa?
It's also a little touch of Jaws because Michael's like, well, we have to, when things start going haywire, Michael's like, well, we have to, take everything off the computers, put everything back to manual. And the lawyer's like, well, we've got this big Mardi Gras party.
Yeah.
Oh, the Mardi Gras party, the social event of the season in Los Angeles.
Especially in the health spa world,
Is
like
a
Mardi
party-
Gras reigns supreme.
Is a Mardi Gras themed party at a health spa. And apparently if you change all the machinery over to manual, the way most health spa machinery works, that this is they're going to lose business over this. He can't possibly do this.
I just want someone, if they ever reissue this on Blu-ray, to put a touch of Jaws on Radcliffe.
That almost sounds like a compliment, doesn't it?
Yes.
Just a touch, just a light dip.
Just a skosh of
A
Jaws.
skosh.
A frisson of Jaws.
And the muse-bouche of
And
Jaws.
a moose booch of Jaws.
Oh my God. So where the fuck? Oh yeah, we're still in the first 3 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, sorry. It's so ridiculous. We
I know.
just
Listen,
jumped
there's-
everywhere. Okay.
What is the plot? The plot is that this spa is haunted, or maybe it's not, and eventually, like, it burns to the fucking ground. That's Death Spa in an overview. Let's talk about some details.
And a bunch of people get killed, but like the three kind of heroes at the end are all like, "Hey, we made it!"
Yeah,
Yeah.
like practically
thank
high-fiving
God.
it.
And it's
Yeah.
like, man, the lawsuits,
Oh, yeah.
lawsuits that are
And
coming.
they should be sued. They absolutely should be sued. And it doesn't matter that a cop is there. She shot a ghost's skull 3 times, and it still manages to kill people. Like, can you imagine when this comes up in court when they're sued? And he's like, you have to understand, Your Honor, my dead wife who burned herself alive while she was in a wheelchair and stood up because it hurt that much, I guess.
Oh, God.
She took over the body of her twin, who was also my computer guy at my spa. And somehow she killed all these people. And I am but a mere former quarterback. So believe me, wink, high five Ken Foray, get a handsy by Brenda Bakey, I guess. I don't fucking know. This is the wildest goddamn movie. Anyways, in the locker room, there is a poster for Mardi Gras. And maybe I unfortunately, of the many places I visited, I've always wanted to go to New Orleans. I never have.
Oh, my
But I don't-
Gosh. Come on, Patrick.
It's a travel blind spot.
It's a 2.5 hour flight at most.
What can I do? Like, I'm married with child.
Right, I got it.
I chose the Far East for my travel destinations as a single person because I was working over there. But to my knowledge, I don't believe Mardi Gras is typified by a naked woman dancing with a mime in the background, right?
No.
That's not the key
I'm
image.
sure it did occur
Yeah.
at Mardi Gras, but since the new laws have been put in place,
Sure.
it definitely doesn't happen anymore.
Right. Well, this was, back late 80s. So
But it's
everything was
also
fine.
like Los Angeles's version of, they heard it from somebody. It was because whoever wrote this script ostensibly was on cocaine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So there was a conversation at some point between snorts. Yeah, I was just in New Orleans, it was Mardi Gras, and it was a naked chick, and it was a mime, and then somehow yes. So I can totally see that's what happened.
I often talk about The Apple, 1980 Apple.
Oh,
Yes.
amazing.
As a sort of movie where they conceived all of the plot, and then 24 hours before before cameras started to roll, someone said, "Oh, by the way, we've made this a musical." And they're like, "What? Wait, what? Okay, all right. Someone get me a piano and an 8-ball, and let's make this happen." This feels like the horror version of that.
100%.
Where someone's like, "We're gonna make a movie at a health club," and I was like, "Everything's great," and then 24 hours before that, they're like, "Oh, we've made this horror movie," and just schnorf off the back of a hooker's butt, and all of a sudden, Death Spa happens.
I just feel like there was, I recently, because you guys were talking about it, Blood Beach.
Yeah.
And we watched it, and I said,
How did you watch it?
it's completely free on YouTube.
Oh no!
It's completely free on YouTube. We just turned it on YouTube on the television, and
Sure.
there it was. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, everybody has this like version of LA that when they make these movies here, they have this version that when they make these movies here, they have this version of LA. His name is escaping me, but the guy who was a Cohen, the one who was always making movies set in New York, and they were so aggressively New York horror movies, like Q, the dragon movie. It's like it's like I don't know why there's a dragon on the loose in New York, but everybody has a New York accent and is really aggressive about it. So I feel like LA has that same sort of vein in these like low budget films where everybody has to like take like everything you think about LA and dump it into a movie. So people
at least Larry Cohen had Michael Moriarty, who you just wound up, and he like delivered Crazy on Demand and an idea. Here, this is like half an idea. Like apparently, this movie was produced by the same person who produced Hard Day's Night. And
Really?
What?
That's why Hard Day's Night is on the television when Michael's sleeping, because he owned rights to Hard Day's Night, who, for those uninitiated, is a movie about some band I've never heard of before. Anyways,
Beatles something?
Some Birtles? Is it the
Birtles?
Bottles?
The
Something
monkeys?
like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, monkeys. Nailed it in one. So he kind of like earned enough money off of that he never had to work again, because it's Hard Day's Night. Like, all you had to do was tell people the Beatles will appear on camera here, and 1,000 people would show up en masse to just view it for as long as they possibly could. So someone comes to him and says, "We've got this great horror film that takes place in a health spa." And he's like, "Done. Here's money. Buy a cherry picker. Get a steady cam." And so everything that happens in this movie is very well funded. It's just well-funded bonkersness at the top level.
Is this the worst acted movie we have covered on this podcast in 5 years so far?
I mean, this and the Killer Kid movie. Oh my God.
Bloody Birthday?
Not Bloody Birthday. That Bloody Birthday comes close, but I feel like Bloody Birthday, everyone is tuned into that one. The one before that. the one where he sets up all the dead bodies as Thanksgiving. Yeah, Mikey.
Yeah.
Wynter. Mikey is on Tubi.
I haven't seen it in so long. I'm going to watch it tonight.
That's actually one of our episode of it is actually one of our most popular episodes.
Like, we had never heard of it. Someone suggested it. I started watching 10 minutes and stopped and said, Gina, we're doing this movie.
It's the kid from Family Ties.
Yes,
Okay.
And at the end of the movie, he drags dead bodies into a Thanksgiving tableau with a cooked turkey. Where did this kid get the strength to drag grown adults? And then he's like, fuck it, I'm making a turkey too. Like, where the fuck is this happening?
He's a 9-year-old who knows how to make Molotov cocktails.
And also how to salt the turkey, brine it the night before. I'm sure he remembered to do that as well, Gina. I'm going to kill these people. I'm going to brine this too.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's a sequence in Mikey where the dad, who's played by John Deal from Miami Vice and many other places,
right,
sees this tableau and begins a scream. And it goes, like he's a motorcycle taking off from a dead stop, but never changing gear.
Remember, you've seen the Italian Spider-Man, the guy who opens the door and just starts kind of shaking his head back and forth because he sees the dead bodies. It's pretty much like that,
but with audio attached. It's amazing. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, Death Spot.
Well, I was thinking specifically of the young lady that gets caught in the murder basement.
Yes.
And God bless her, she tries. she does try.
She is trying for horror. She's trying for terror. She's trying for pain. But she's on camera for far too long. And then we go back to her after she has been sprinkled with all of this chlorine water. And her skeleton is still moaning.
Her heart's still beating.
Her heart's still beating. Her exposed heart
is still beating.
Like,
horrifying.
How do you have a health club movie that doesn't understand how human bodies work at this level? It's fucking astounding.
I think the only way we can do this is kind of jump around because if we try to do it beat by beat, it's going to be like a 4-hour long episode because there's so much.
There is so much. Michael, our protagonist, is a former NFL player. I guess he's a quarterback, or at least that's the vibe they're giving off. If you're wondering, if you haven't seen it yet, like who does Michael remind you of? And for me, it was Unfrozen Caveman Fitness Spa owner.
Yes.
He has every part of his face is jutting. And it's jutting at a disturbing length and breadth.
Why does it always feel like that was the part that I couldn't remember how much body horror was involved here?
Sure.
Because at what point was he going to mutate into something? Every scene felt like that was going to happen. I was bracing for it.
And he's just allowed to wander wherever the fuck he wants to. At the beginning of this movie, when Laura is doused, in the middle of mid steam room masturbation, and she crashes through a door, he arrives at the hospital and just like cruises past where the nurses are and just starts opening doors to surgery suites. Like, what the fuck is happening here? And
it's very OJ of him. That's what I imagine OJ was. Like, I know, because OJ's whole thing was like, I know the cops, I know this, everybody loves OJ. Yeah. I just imagine it's the same kind of OJ energy.
Very much so.
Despite everything that happens, though, he never looks anything more than befuddled.
Yes.
Yeah. He's never scared. He's never angry. He's just sort of confused.
Perplexed.
Yeah, it's like a guy who receives a parking ticket in the mail and is like, but I only own 2 cars. Well, so you have twice the opportunity to get a parking ticket, my dude. Like it happens to almost everyone. He's like, no, I mean, a parking ticket? Really? Me? You're like, yeah, you're not above parking tickets. Michael, why are we having this conversation? every single one of the people who you put your penis in has been burned alive or almost burned alive. And he's like, it's a wacky thing. I played in the NFL. Anyways, and he wanders away.
Yeah, I understand why he's confused, though, because his murder wife is her motivations are a little vague.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, as we know, she has committed suicide by setting herself on fire, which that'll do it.
Dousing herself with gasoline in her wheelchair.
When you would think, like, given their house, she would just tip herself out of the wheelchair and just fall down that canyon.
Right.
There's so many places for you to kill yourself that don't involve burning to death, but okay.
She is initially described as, a very lovely person who was, very attractive, and they had a very loving marriage. And then she lost her child. How did she end up in the wheelchair? It was a birthing accident, which I don't know what kind of birthing accident. I mean, childbirth.
I thought it wasn't. It can fuck you up, but I don't paralyze you.
Yeah, that's a new one.
I mean, you're a little sore. You're a little sore down there for a little while, for sure. But you're not in a wheelchair. Yeah, so she's in the wheelchair. The baby doesn't make it, sadly, and this kind of sends her over the edge. And so she commits suicide. Her ghost comes back with the sole intention of wanting Michael to join her on the other side.
Yes, in hell specifically.
So rather than just, I don't know, push him down the stairs, you use
Make
her,
him drive into a pole.
use her, apparent witch powers, because she's also some kind of witch.
Right.
To cut the brakes on his car. No, she just, sets about these bizarre accidents in his health spa.
Yeah, she unscrews a bolt on a diving board of someone completely unrelated to anything going on. Like, how does that help you get your ex-husband to commit suicide so you can both enjoy hell together?
It's haphazard. It's haphazard from moment one. She had multiple opportunities to just go ahead and just do what she needs to do with him.
But I guess there's some sort of, contract she signed, like he has to kill himself willingly, or he has to commit suicide in order to join her in hell, I guess, is what I gather after having watched this 5 times now. I think this is the only time I watched it not high off of my boots, but still.
And also, that's a very Catholic viewpoint that
yes.
Why is she in hell?
I mean,
presumably it's because she committed suicide, but I mean, that's not. It depends on what you believe in as to.
But also, Gina, she had she was pregnant. The baby is dies. She's paralyzed. Like, there's a lot of stuff that would lead someone to a very bad mental state in the aftermath of all of this happening. And this movie's like, well, obviously she's an evil person who ended up in hell. Like, why?
Right. It's like, did it early draft for her so that she killed the baby? I mean, that would be like the only thing that makes sense here. It's like, well, now she's an evil spirit, and it's like, okay, I guess I don't know how that works, but.
But I also am wondering if hell was just the easiest place to come up with.
Sure. Like, why is she doing this? I don't know. They want to be together in hell.
Exactly. Sure.
Like, it's like they were in Video Village. You're like, oh my God, this is a disaster. We need to come up with a story real quick as to why all of this is happening. And someone rushed in and goes, how about frozen fish attack a guy? And they're like, no, hold off on that. That's great. Write that down. We want to go back to that, but we need to fix this part first. Makes zero sense.
Why does a health spa have a freezer full of beer and frozen fish?
Yeah.
This time I did notice the sushi chefs who are working in one corner of the health spa, which also, do you want to eat sushi?
No.
Where people work
Why do
out?
we eat anything in a health spa? Like, no. you have one thing in a health spa, and that's water.
Okay, but this is the thing about LA, Gina. is that everybody in LA does not want to be inconvenienced, even when they're doing something as strenuous as a workout, which should be their only focus. You need to have, at the very minimum, a smoothie bar. Now, they had...
When I was in a gym, they had a fucking smoothie bar in Burbank, yeah.
Yes, and they had Tommy Tangs, who at the time was one of the preeminent sushi Thai cuisine folks, which is hysterical to think about.
God, Wynter, your recall is fucking amazing.
No, Patrick, because the thing that's so funny about it is it goes out of its way to act so like chic, right?
Yeah.
Like everything about it is so chic and trash at the same time. You know what I mean? Like that's LA in '91. It's like I'm so chic. I have the classic Porsche, the house in the hills overlooking the canyon. Tommy Tangs is in my, in the corner. I got him. It's like it's so, but it's still so trash. Every single person in that gym is trash.
And they're horny trash. I mean, I got to make an observation that I could not help observating. And I have never seen more erect nipples in a single movie as I've seen in this movie.
It's both hot and cold. It's the icy hot of motion pictures because this movie will have you believe that butts exist. It's just...
Yeah.
Praise be to every single body on display, with the exception of that one British guy who I don't really care to look at or hear from. Everyone else looks like $1 million fucking dollars. So
yeah, nobody there needs to be going to a gym every day.
Right. Or it's all they fucking do.
Right.
Is the other thing. Like,
but that's okay because they're not actually, very few of them are actually working out. They're just kind of hanging around and eyeballing Michael, and you've got these two really thirsty girls, one of which is played by Karen Parsons from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who apparently got her audition from this movie.
Oh my God.
How crazy is that, Gina? How crazy is that? Somebody was like, yep, that's it.
We need her on network television.
Exactly.
She's hilarious. This movie's very funny. Everyone in the audience was laughing. That means she's great.
I was like, well, they'll tell what kind of character does she play? Well, she's really horny.
She doesn't care who she has to sleep with, just so long as she gets 3 months free at this spa.
She is perfectly fine enduring steam burns and shards of ceramic launching themselves at her if the hunk owner of the health spa vaguely implies that he might sleep with her.
Exactly.
Yes. And if she has to share him with somebody else, that's just what you have to do.
It's just what you have to do.
Honestly, it is wild. Into this cacophony of accidents wanders. Michael is trying to put the pieces together, and these two cops enter the scene, Sergeant Stone and Lieutenant Fletcher. Lieutenant Fletcher in particular seems to have it out for health spas the way, boomers have it out for anything. And this includes him. He's just anti-health spa right up until the point he might get laid, and then very pro-health spa. They sort of rake him over the coals. His lawyer says, listen, you don't have to answer any of these questions. And Mike's like, I got this. Let's go to the computer room. Let's meet my quote unquote former brother-in-law, David. He's created this computer system. And when the cops ask him about it, he's like, listen, I was hacking last night. You're like, do you know what that means?
He was hacking. He was
hacking.
Quote, hacking.
Yeah. And he also
has
documentation
of it, by the way. Because when I hack, I print out all my documentation and file it away.
No, I have a full filing cabinet of when I hack, when I don't hack. And then up against the wall is this litany of papers that are paper clipped to the wall. And all that it's missing is some red string and Sylvie Pepe written in black marker up against it. David is played by Captain Kirk's son.
Yep, he's played by Johnny Slash. Thank you very much.
I didn't know this guy had more than 2 credits. I'm glad to hear it.
I think those are his, you mean that and this? Well, yeah, but he was also in Square Pegs.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have I don't remember Square Pegs all that well.
It was only on for like a month.
CBS, known for all the greatest teen comedy.
Right.
This computer command center, we need to talk about it for just one more second, because whenever we go back to it after this, there's a sound that emits whenever they're in there, like they're in the belly of an alien worm. It just who the fuck would want to hear that all goddamn day?
Also, it's only run by one person, which is a good idea. I guess he doesn't need to ever take any time off or be sick or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's so funny is everyone needs a key card to enter and exit, and it's like no one knows what the fuck to do in there except for him. Yeah. So don't worry about anything. Like no one's gonna go in there and completely corrupt your system.
What would they do? Like press a green button and it turns red? Like there's no. I understand computers well enough. I'm using one right now, and I don't know how the fuck any of this works. Other than the fact they've built a telephone into the monitor that he's using, which is, I mean, I guess, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Anyways, during this scene, we learn that David and the late lamented Catherine were twins.
And you know what that means.
Yeah.
Because in horror, you're never just twins.
Right. It's always gross.
Yes.
Is what it comes down to. You always share a brain. And he does say I knew thoughts that no one else knew about her. And you're like, all right, stop pointing. You're pointing very hard. We can tell you're the villain right away.
Right.
Is he though? I mean, he's kind of does not seem like he really is enjoying what she's making him do, which again, I'm not sure what she's making him do, because at some point it suggests that she's kind of possessing him, because it kind of seems like he is sort of working under Catherine's control and doesn't really enjoy it and or what she's making him do, which again, I'm not sure what she's making him do.
Sure.
Because at some point it's got a little bit of a lurid twist about how he's dressing like her.
He's definitely using her amazing underwear.
Except that it is her. It's not. He's at no point is he just walking around pretending to be her. It's always her.
Yes, but then there's that sort of moment on the floor where he's thrashing back and forth. Why are we talking about Ken Russell movies constantly? But he's doing that thing where I'm a caveman, I'm a real man, I'm a caveman, I'm a real man.
Right, and then he just disappears, or she absorbs him, or something.
Yeah, I hate to break it to our audience. Death Spa has not have it worked all the way through.
No,
they have not pulled the thread completely on how this plot works.
There's a lot of spaghetti thrown at the wall.
At one point, a girl named Darla is told by a guy when she flirts with him, don't worry, I'm not flirting with you. I'm Beta, you're VHS. And at the point this movie was made, Beta was dead, but Beta was the superior product. I don't know which is the insult in what is being said there.
I don't think they know either, because we all know by 91 Beta was virtually non-existent.
Yeah. Anyways, that guy ends up using this machine. I guess it's a chest compressor. This
is my favorite kill because it's not possible.
I just don't understand exactly what happened. So it's a chest press machine, meaning your hands are making or your arms rather, not your hands. Your arms are making L's, and you're bringing your forearms forward at a 90-degree angle. Well, at some point, the computer begins to increase the resistance on this to the point where he can't handle it. And then his ribs split apart, spray blood, and then his pancreas decides, I'm done, and just yeets itself from his body.
Yeah, if I'm gonna, if I could Neil deGrasse Tyson this for a moment.
Sure, please.
Like, if you've ever used one of those things, and there was a brief time when I still gave a shit about such things that I would go to when I would go to the gym, and I would use that thing with my little noodle arms sometimes, and have a weight resistance of about 40 pounds on it.
Sure.
And where you start, you are moving it. It is not moving you. You are moving it.
Right.
So if the resistance is increased on that, all that's going to happen is you're not going to be able to push it together. Right. It's not going to push your arms back. I mean, I think it's supposed to. What you're supposed to think is that it pushed his arms back so far that like his chest split open from the pressure, which even if that was possible, the worst that would happen is maybe you might dislocate your shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, your shoulders would snap off before it gets to the point where below your rib cage, it's like, oh, no, we need to tear right open. Like there's no amount of boy sticking their fingers into the dam that's going to stop this blood spray from just cascading outwards. And at the point that this happens, that's when your health spa gets shut down. It just, you're never recovering from this.
Nobody fucking cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares that there was an accident where someone got sprayed in the face with chlorine gas in the steam room. No one cares that there was an accident in the shower room where ceramic tiles were just launching themselves off the wall. No one cares that this guy split in half. They got to work out, man. They got to get laid. They got their Mardi Gras party.
Like their identities are wrapped up in this.
Exactly. And Michael keeps promising them free membership. Sorry about it. And back then, that was worth something.
Free membership and the promise of cheap, loveless sex.
Right. Right.
Well, now where can I sign up for this? Because this sounds fantastic. Is that a Planet Fitness offering?
That's a platinum membership right there.
Oh my God. Mike's lawyer is like, listen, we can't turn off these machines because that's the draw. And I guess, again, a touch of Jaws is added in here. Then cut to Mike picking up Laura from the hospital.
My God.
And if you're saying, I don't know if this movie is grossly sexual enough for me. Well, hold on a second, because you haven't watched Mike feed Laura semi-limp asparagus with the intention of turning people on. And at that point, you're like, I don't like, what? Do these people know what sex is? Have they just heard about it? Like, well, you know what?
They heard about that scene in 9.5 weeks.
And nothing simulates it quite like over-steamed asparagus. Something the very thought of makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit. And I love grilled asparagus. But oh my God, if you over-steam it and it's bending that much, just from the weight of you holding it, that's not, ooh, let's have sex. That is not sexy, everyone. No.
That's my pee is going to smell real bad. I can't, is this worth it? Is it worth it to eat this limp ass asparagus for the smell of my pee in about 30 minutes?
Yeah. And back at the death spa, a girl named Marcy, who was showering with everyone else, gets trapped in a haunted locker room. She assures everyone, I will find my way out of this. But then the lockers begin to open and close, and what I could only describe as a spooky slow clap buildup where it's like sort of thing.
And then one of them launches a harpoon at her?
Yeah, what the fuck is she harpooned by? What is that? Have I seen that before? Was that set up? Did someone say, hey, I lost my bolt gun or whatever the fuck?
I was going to say, like, don't you remember the late 80s, fitness craze, crossbow hunting?
So yeah, she gets a bolt through the back of her neck and through her mouth, which would have looked great in 3D, but this wasn't filmed that way. And then later, when her face is revealed, it seems to have been eaten away by termites. I'm not sure how that works.
Not sure what happened there. How did she get put into the locker?
Ghost Catherine put her in the locker.
And also, you know that whole thing about how if you lose one of your senses, the other senses become heightened. Yeah, sure. Apparently, Laura has a rotting corpse inches in front of her face, and she doesn't notice it.
No. It's like my dog Nigel when we had a dead rat in the garage, and we're like, "Can you smell that?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're fucking talking about." So Laura looks like Cyclops from the X-Men in her "I'm blind" glasses.
Can we talk about the makeup though?
Sure.
Before we get to Laura's, I don't know why. I know she was blinded, but it seemed like a long time that she had to have her eyes covered. Or is that the acceptable amount of time when you're...
I mean, I don't know how much time passes in this movie.
That's right.
It could be 3 days. It could be 3 months. I honestly don't know. Time is elastic here.
It's right.
Starbody, is going at the speed of light through space. I don't know how it works.
I feel like the makeup in this movie is... I don't know what their budget was. It doesn't seem like it was a lot. If I recall, the budget's not a huge amount of money. The makeup is excellent.
Everyone looks like $1 million.
No, I mean the movie makeup, like the graphics, the effects. They all look, basic, which is, but the special effects on stuff. I mean, they're not like, it's gross. It's properly gross. Every kill.
But we're not talking like Rob Bottin, fit this into his schedule or anything. It seems like party store skeletons that they put goo on.
Right.
Everyone's like, hey, I'm sweaty but still sexy. That looks great. His lipstick, on point. When they put lipstick on David, he looks great. His legs are fantastic shaved.
His legs are fantastic shaved. When he lotions his legs,
for those fucking legs.
Me too.
He looks great.
Yeah, he looks great.
When Darla wanders through the star body in what is, I guess, a ghoul witch costume, and then Michael thinks that she's the ghost and is like, no, it's Darla.
Oh yeah, Darla is the rare female prankster in a horror movie. We don't get those very often.
It's a very rare thing. And when she's uncovered to be wearing this mask, the scene fades out, but not quickly enough. I think she shrugs her shoulders 5 to 6 times. I guess so. All right. Okay.
But but the thing about horror is you need a PJ Souls. You need a PJ Souls, and that's where she was fulfilling that role. Ish.
Sure, this movie loves to fade out, but just not quickly enough. Anyways, enter one of my favorite characters, Dr. Lido Moray, paranormal investigator.
Love him.
He's kind of a Ghostbuster, but he also owns a handgun. Maybe he was a Nazi. I can't quite say why he owns a Luger, but he does. And he also likes to tell stories while holding on to a glow-in-the-dark dildo. He tells an extended story about this lady who died in a fire, and then the 4 houses that were built there all burned down, and someone tried to farm it and they couldn't grow anything there. Anyways, tell me about your spa.
Your haunted spa.
Tell me about your haunted spa. And Michael's like, I think my wife who killed herself is haunting the spa. And he doesn't like that I'm dating a pretty lady right now. And he's like, well, let me show up. I've got a briefcase. I'm going to flirt with some people, and I'm going to stay there after hours. He's like, you're hired.
Bring the dildo.
Bring the dildo.
My favorite part is when Michael tells her, the girlfriend, that the scene just cuts. I talked to a parapsychologist today. It's cutscene.
That's all the information you need to know, or the audience.
Yeah, when he tells her that he thinks that that it's Catherine haunting him, and Laura just okay, she just does. Yeah. She does not react in the slightest.
Yeah.
I guess she used to react a lot with her eyes, and because she doesn't have access to them anymore, like she can't react. I guess that's
and doesn't
what it
really
comes down
know
to.
what to believe. He could be telling her anything.
We forgot to mention real quick when Laura is in the hospital after she gets the chlorine gas in her eyes, that she is laying there with the bandages over her eyes, and Michael comes in and the nurse tells her, "Oh, it's not as bad as it looks. She's just temporarily blinded."
Right.
She has chemical burns over some of her body. Also, there usually a percentage is added to that, but for her, it's just some. So yeah, it's not that bad. It's like a C minus chemical burn, which is a lot better prognosis than what Catherine is described as by not one, but two people as being burnt down to, quote, unrecognizable ashes. My question to both of you.
Have you ever recognized ashes?
What is the most recognizable ashes that you see? We see a bowl full of ashes, you're like, wait a second, is that Jimmy? That looks like Jimmy.
That looks like Jimmy. I know Jimmy. Jimmy, he put on weight, but goodness, the amount of these ashes.
I could pick Jimmy out of anywhere. I don't care if it was at 8th grade graduation or after he's been burned into ashes and kept in an urn.
You put 6 urns up there, I'll know right away which one is Jimmy.
Recognize these ashes, of course, the worst game on The Price is Right. I never saw anyone else.
That was our rejected game before we decided to go with Choose Your Own Death Venture. Whose ashes are these?
Again, visual games don't work well for podcasts. We had to learn that one the hard way. But, I think we improved. We found a better place to go with it. There's one scene in which David is communing with Catherine and they're having an argument. And then it kind of comes down to a lot of moaning, like she's forcing David to have ghost sex with her. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Well, yeah, because
it's a very odd
because this movie isn't, sleazy enough. We have to throw in a little bit of incest. Again, a little bit of incest with your not so bad chemical burns.
This movie also features a boxing ring conversation pit because why not? Like, why not add that to the mix? At one point, Michael uses a computer terminal and a green light turns on over his head as if to say, "This is my green computer light."
The computer is on.
Your computer is on, but not only is it on in front of you, it's on above you. Like, is that part of the computer system? The green, like, this is green computer light. I don't. One of the two girls who wants that 3 months of free gym membership and to sleep with Michael is lured into this basement, which is covered in black tarps. And
well, here's the funny thing. Somehow the ghost slips her a note.
The ghost writes her a note.
From Michael saying,
crudely written.
"Meet me in the basement," and she literally swoons. She holds the letter to her chest, like, she's like,
finally, this 5th grader named Michael wants to have sex with me in the
she's
basement.
14 and found this note in her locker. And
okay, but drew her a map though.
Yeah, no. Like it's a treasure chest.
You go into this basement, it's dark as hell. And it's I'm not going down here. But no, she spends what feels like 45 minutes just wandering around. Michael, this is funny, Michael.
I've never been that horny ever in my life.
Right?
Even after a drought. You are not going to lure me. That's like
but when
being
X
lured
marks
into
the
a
spot, Michael's penis is at the end of it.
You're that's literally like walking into the hotel in The Shining and being given a map to go to the maze.
You do that. You do that cutesy, I don't have any clothes on. Come find me thing with somebody you've already slept with, not somebody you're just trying to hook up with for the first time.
And get a free membership, which we all knew was the ultimate goal. No one's aggressively trying to bang a gym owner for anything else but like a little bit of membership. Gym memberships back in the 90s were extremely expensive.
Right. But here's a thing we run into often, though, Wynter. Have you considered Michael's penis? Because Michael's penis is magic, and it makes people go crazy.
Apparently.
It makes them,
right.
emoliate themselves and stand up even though they've lost the use of their legs. It makes them stay with them even though their gym has burned their eyes nearly out. And for her, it's like, yeah, if I have to wander around a Nightmare on Elm Street basement for a little while, at least when I reach the end of this treasure map, I get some Michael penis. And that's enough for her.
And instead she gets melted with acid spraying out of the sprinkler system.
Is it acid? Is it more chlor? We don't know the chemical composure of whatever.
Why
the fuck
don't
this
they
is.
run away?
I don't know.
Oh my God, this scene, if I could find just a clip of this, I'm going to post it because it is so funny. I mean, I don't know if it's, I can only assume it's meant to be funny because she gives up, like, I mean, in classic slasher movie style, she encounters danger, almost immediately gives up, doesn't try to escape, even though there's, she came down a flight of stairs, but apparently has forgotten where the stairs are.
Right.
So she just sort of flails around. She falls down, doesn't try to get back up.
Life's been good, and it's time to lay down and go night.
She's just laying there and just like, and you think I'm making fun of her. No, that's actually what she sounds like.
100%.
She is trying to sound like she's sobbing in terror, and she sounds like someone making fun of somebody crying.
And then somehow, once she's lying down, her face begins to melt like a candle your second grader made you at summer camp, and she's dead. Meanwhile, David stops by Michael's house while Laura is there, and his excuse is, well, Michael's computer program is hanging. I don't know what that means. Laura certainly doesn't know what that means. And then he starts to menace her for a really long period of time, to the point where she backs up against a cutout in the wall that overlooks the living room that is perilously like a floor down. Again,
right.
Zero railings. This woman should be dead.
Yeah, and consider the fact that he, at another point, not too long before that, someone in a wheelchair, a disabled person, lived in that house.
How did that work? How did she get in and out of the triangle waterbed that he sleeps in at night? The only reason that Laura is saved is because a woman in a mini skirt delivers groceries to Michael's house.
Is that a California thing? I feel like that feels very LA to me.
Both Wynter and I get mini skirt groceries delivered to us all the time.
We just get like belligerent college students who also part-time weed guys delivering our groceries. So,
but I want to know.
You get to have bodega cats. We
exactly,
get
Gina.
Fair.
The thing that I find really ridiculous about this scene is how they're on a canyon and this woman trucks that GMC convertible back up that hill in reverse, going like 70. I was like, where was she coming there expecting something? And is that just how it works in Michael's world? And everybody accepts that's the scenario? Because
I guess so.
Laura, in the beginning, the way she's like super close to Ken Foray's character, I thought that was his girlfriend at first. I mean, it's just very, it's very, what's orgy-ish. Like everybody's had a taste of everybody.
But I guess that's like this version, like they believe, the filmmakers at least believe that health clubs operate on a, I don't know, I'll sleep with anyone so long as they sweat scenario. Like, so long as you take this dance class, you will get laid regardless.
Right.
It's just free-flowing sex no matter where you go. Whether you're in the boxing ring, conversation pit, or out of it, you're going to get some.
Right.
Yeah, that's also where I noticed the metal ox skull on the wall. Like, Jesus, every part of it is too fucking crazy. And also, why does he own decorative vests? Jesus Christ, why would you display it? It's so amazing. Oh my God.
And they're
This
beaded.
movie-
So, I mean, like, I was expecting him to show up in one of them at some point.
Yeah, I think it should pay off. Like, it's like Chekhov's gun.
Right.
If you show me a decorative beaded vest that you use for office decoration, I should then see it on you
Exactly.
in the third act.
Exactly.
In the middle of this, we learned that the lawyer and business manager, whose name is Priscilla, are actually the ones who are doing the spa fucking with that aren't ghost related. Like, it's a pincer movement of guy wants to take over your gym and a ghost wants to be with you in hell. Right at Michael.
Which again, such as with Catherine's motives, why would you intend on taking over a gym that by giving it a reputation that people constantly get killed there?
Right.
Oh, yeah, nothing's better for business.
I mean, were they gonna like just close it temporarily, reopen under a new name, and say, 25% less deaths than last year? We guarantee it.
Well, it's 25% less deaths and 50% more erect nipples. So really, the trade-off. When you think about it,
our shower room tiles will stay put.
You won't see the pipes in which the compressed air was used to blow them off.
Oh, right, exactly.
We check our sprinkler system for acid every 2 days.
Every other. We can't do it every day. All right,
every
we're not
other
that
day.
rich. Yeah, go to Crunch. If you want that. So, our favorite character, Dr. Leto Moray, paranormal investigator, then also wanders around the shipping receiving area with his glass dildo and opens suitcase, and he finds Linda still alive despite being a skeleton. And then Leto's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. He knows where the stairs are, but before he can get to it, Ghost Catherine is there. And he's like, I've got an out. There's no way. I'm a paranormal investigator. I know exactly what to do here. And he tries to shoot a ghost. At that moment, I think Leto Moray, Dr. Leto Moray, please. Leto Moray is his name. He didn't go to 5 years of paranormal investigator school to be called Mr. Leto Moray.
He also really cared about his equipment, which is why he handled it haphazardly. Just
fuck this. Goes for his Luger, tries to shoot a ghost, and then Ghost Catherine's like, you know what? I'm going to show you how to shoot that.
Right.
And she explodes his hand.
Yeah.
Shoots him up to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. We don't really know exactly how he dies, but we know it didn't go well for him.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right.
So, in a dream, Michael is summoned to Ghost Catherine to jump off a balcony, but then he doesn't, and then he goes to sleep in his triangle bed. He has a bed that's a triangle, everyone, a triangle bed. Mike heads to Starbody, where he discovers his lawyer's subterfuge. While searching for Dr. Leto Moray, a paranormal investigator, he does not find that loose hand that is exploded in a corner somewhere. He can't find it. Maybe a raccoon took off with it.
Well, apparently no one's gone into that basement for anything, or they would have discovered, the puddle that used to be, what's her face, Linda.
Very true. So Mike heads over to lawyer Tom's, and when he opens the door, we discover that Tom has been buying his shorts at Dan Flash's. It's a very specific reference that is, if you've not watched the second season of I Think You Should Leave, you will not know what it is. That's the quality of references I'm delivering to people.
At least they're current. We're not so good on the current references. I mentioned square pegs earlier, so good on ya for bringing things into this century.
These are all jokes that are one Google search away from being funny. And we learned that Tom and Priscilla have been, rigging this place to self-destruct so that they can, reopen it as something that's not Death Spa. Anyways, we learn that David has great legs. We get a great crotch shot of Ken Foray at one point.
Oh, where
Right.
he just like
he's working
he
with.
just like comes up like it's like the scene in Walk Hard where like the guy just like stands next to him like from the waist down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and you just get, it's like the guy's like, can you make his penis look great? And he's like, yeah. No, all this lighting is for his penis. We're gonna make sure that you know that Ken Foray is cut and cut well. And so we get that. Michael puts the club on manual and then brings the cops over to David's place, which is all squared away like it's a summer resort in the winter. Like everything's covered. And we learn that David has held on to his dead twin's burnt wheelchair and some sexy underwear.
Well, you know, mementos, precious memories.
I must apologize. There's one railing in all of Michael's apartment. It's neon green and it's on the far side of the wall.
Right.
So my apologies to Michael's apartment.
Yes.
In which he also has a desk that is suspended by wires.
Suspended by wires and surprisingly sturdy considering all the chaos.
No, his house is golden. And so after all of this, the cops are on alert. They've sent out an APB describing him as, quote, probably a psycho. And this is the night of the Mardi Gras party where we learn that membership increases 20% and men show up spray painted gold. At this party, Jeffrey, a sexy pirate, doesn't notice Ghost Catherine, who disrobes and then crushes his face.
Yeah, and again, in true 1980s horror movie fashion, you know, men were so horny that like if women just appeared out of nowhere, and very spookily took their clothes off, you know, they were into that. Yeah, absolutely, it's happening now.
Listen, if there was the possibility that your penis might be touched, you just lost all of your senses. And you could have your face end up crushed.
Okay, but the best part is that this, again, equipment is very scientific and very specific. But this jabroni is allowed to manipulate and sort of fool with it.
But mostly what he's using it for is to spy on people making out. Because, again, he's a very horny pirate. And at this point, we learn that the computer cannot be turned off. And then
like half the people that go to that gym.
Hi-oh.
Yeah.
Hey-oh. I delivered that so poorly. I could have been better.
Tom tries to sex a lady in a sauna. And then something happens to his face. I'm not sure.
I think one of the wood in the wall starts coming out. I think like a plank goes through his face or something.
Yeah.
Is that what, listen, I'll believe you. I rewinded it 3 times. I could not fucking figure out what happened to his face. Anyways, we learned that his head is full of pink oatmeal.
Yep.
Like in Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2.
Yes.
When they crushed that one lady in the locker room.
That is
That's basically what comes out of his face.
That's the one kill that to this day, because I hadn't seen the movie since 1992 or whatever, that stuck with me. That one always stuck with me. It's fucking gross.
David fills out a nightgown and a sexy pirate uniform. He ends up dragging Laura into a tanning bed and then tying her up with sexy scarves. And he's going to tan her to death, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what
turn her to fried chicken in one line.
Yes, unless Mike voluntarily offs himself. This is when Catherine says, I want to be together with you in hell. And you're kind of like, well, that doesn't sound like a beach resort. Why?
And again, why are you in hell?
Yeah, I don't understand it. Anyways, they try to rescue Laura. And in order to do this, Michael has to defenestrate himself through the front door, which he manages to do with nary a cut. He's followed in by Marv, who Ghost Catherine throws through a completely different window. And he also survives. So defenestration is not going to kill you in this movie, folks. Meanwhile, at a completely different part of the party, Lieutenant Fletcher is flirting with a B girl. And she's kind of like, you know what? Fine. listen, I'll take it. It's star body. Part of it is you just fuck anyone who even looks at you for half a second. And she's like, just help me with this. And she sticks her hand into a mixer and it then chops her hand off and continues to try to chop the rest of her arm off. And he can't help her.
He can't help her.
Can't help her at all.
Yeah, this is reminiscent to me of the greenhouse death in Slugs.
Sure.
Where
very much so.
he
Very much
the slug got into the glove and for whatever reason he was not able to get the glove off his hand.
And the resolution is to chop your own hand off, but you can't even do that well.
Right.
Because slugs. Yeah.
Whereas here,
slugs make you crazy.
Whereas here, she could very easily remove her hand from the blender.
Yeah. But no, she can't. And neither can he. He can't even control his body because he's sucked into a walk-in freezer
Of this,
where he's attacked by.
Oh yeah, this grade Z Dennis Franz is useless. Absolutely useless.
He's got a gun, but he can't fire it. He's attacked by popcorn, and then he's attacked by frozen fish, which chews his neck off, I guess is what we're going for.
Death by sushi.
Yes, very much so. And then when we're back outside, where the song that's playing is She's Cool. I don't know why that was the one song that stuck out to me this time, but I just loved hearing She's Cool. Sergeant Stone, his partner, finds a knocked out Priscilla, who is then she's murdered by a mirror explosion.
Yeah,
I guess it just goes wah, 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 and then murder explosion, and then she just blows up into a million pieces. And we're at the portion of this where it's dogs and cats living together.
Yeah,
mass hysteria.
Finally, people start reacting to this because I think I briefly touched upon at the beginning of the episode, but this whole thing with the blender and the Detective Stone getting sucked into the freezer, there are other people in the room when that's happening. And,
but it's a party.
No one is looking, no one is reacting, nothing.
I think everyone assumes at a Mardi Gras party that if you get sucked into a freezer and attacked by frozen fish, you're probably also getting laid, just like they're trying to get laid. So it's kind of like a whatever happens at Starbody stays at Starbody situation.
Well, it's not a party till someone's hand gets taken off by a blender.
Sure, that's true of us all, I suppose. And so the whole club becomes like the end of Carrie. Everyone is trapped inside.
100%.
Several people are burned to death. Others are trampled. And then Michael's like, I gotta turn off this haunted computer. And so he takes off his shoes, clamps them to an electrical wire, and manages to burn the computer, but not electrocute himself, or he survives it. I'm not sure. But he's kind of like, what's his face in Shocker, where he's like watching a television and a ghost comes out of it. And then that's never talked about ever again in the rest of the movie. Only it's this guy in a shoe.
It's crazy that is all it took to take down not only a ghost, but his extremely proprietary computer gym operation system.
Yeah. I don't get it, but Catherine blows up as a result. I guess she was also attached to the computer.
But also David was in there too somehow. And
yes. Yeah, because she's possessing his body. So he burns up. But when the body's there, it's got long flowing hair like Catherine. So it's not David's body. And when Michael, Laura, and Sergeant Stone show up, he's like, oh, I think this is over. And then the skeleton grabs Laura. Michael pulls off the skeleton arm, and Sergeant Stone shoots a ghost skeleton 3 times in the head.
And then the movie still has the audacity to be like, The end? Question mark?
Well, as soon as Sergeant Stone gets outside, that's when the skeleton's brain explodes.
It's like, nice try, Michael.
How is everyone being trapped inside the spa connected to the ghost skeleton's brain? Oh,
What
hurts my brain. Is my brain leaking out of my nose? Can anyone else see
what
that?
are Michael and Laura and Marv so happy about at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else is trapped inside. They're like, we made it. I know, but everyone else has not made it.
Not a shred of survivor's guilt, huh? Not
No.
a tiny bit.
Not
The
one
body
little
count
bit.
is in the dozens, which is at least a third of your margin.
Yeah, you're gonna get a Wikipedia page out of this disaster for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, your spa has become a great white concert.
Right,
as-
100%.
as a reference point. Yeah. So what did we miss anything? Because that's when the movie just decides we're done and it goes to credits.
We missed
But
everything.
if anyone,
Like I said, it's either a half hour or 4 hours. It's another one of those episodes.
yeah, I agree. Yes. I had always thought this would end up being a two-parter, and now maybe it should have been a two-parter.
Well,
I mean, we covered everything.
We keep talking about
Yeah.
how horny it is, but also like it also refrains from actually showing people having sex, which is odd to me.
The closest it gets to sex is feeding a woman limp asparagus.
Yeah, like you definitely felt like that should have you transitioned into a satin sheet sex scene with them, but it
Yes.
doesn't. And as much as it's teased and everybody's super horny and flirting with each other, none of that ever happens.
This movie needs a lit by the light coming through vertical blinds sex scene.
With like
Right.
with like
Absolutely.
sax music and all. Where's the sax music?
Where is the sax? Wynter, what else do you got for me?
No, we covered everything that was on my iPhone notes. I mean, we talked about
Okay.
the building, more nipples. These are my notes. It's that we talked about the building, more nipples than I remember. That is an exact note. Tiles popping off into my face is a nightmare.
Yes.
Everyone believing it just needs maintenance is crazy. Jazz class, overt sexual innuendo, Jesus, not to be confused with killer workout. Death by sushi sucks. Death by exploding mirror. Death by 4x4. Sabotage by ghost. Near death by tanning bed. Death by blender. And finally, hello, Mary Lou vibes. Those are my notes. Those are my notes.
I think this leads us right into choose your own death venture. And I think you pretty much got them all. There's weight machine pancreas removal, bolt through the neck, melted by chlorine to a skeleton, hand blown up by a ghost, face crushed by ghost, oatmeal face sauna, defenestrated by ghost, but he didn't end up dying, hand blended by haunted mixer, throat bitten off by frozen fish, blown apart by murder mirror, burned to death, trampled to death, burnt to a skeleton, get your arm torn off, shot in the head 3 times, and then your brain explodes. So Wynter, as our guest, I choose you to go first.
I'm just gonna have to go with the freezer, because at the very least I can get a shot from whatever booze was in there before I actually just completely kick the can.
Yeah, I mean, at least you're going out in a cool place where the rest of it is so hot.
Right, and quietly
There's
to
a lot of hot
myself.
death.
There's a lot of hot, and
Yeah.
it's to myself, and it's a little less embarrassing. Everyone that went out was completely humiliated in death.
True.
It's
And
humiliating.
you feel like your throat ripped off by a frozen fish is not a humiliating death, is
They're
what we
going to
do.
discover that, and it's going to be completely tragic. But I would rather have it be that than thinking that I'm going to get in a set and my pancreas explodes out,
Sure,
or
absolutely.
I'm about to get laid, or I'm about to bang this guy and his head explodes right before we get it on. Those are humiliating
Right.
deaths. No one saw me get
Very
eaten
true.
by
What's-
a fish. No one saw
Well,
that.
when you say it that way. Gina, what say you?
I'm going to go with hand in the blender because it would be extremely on brand for me to die while wearing a Bumblebee costume.
All right, when you say it like that, I mean, it does make perfect sense. I think of all of these, the way I'm going to go out is have my hand blown off by a ghost, because that would be the only way I'd ever be a doctor, I think, is if I was a paranormal investigator like Dr. Lindo Moray. I'm going for hand blown off. And then you get
launched into whatever that receiving slide is.
Yeah, I go for a little ride at the end. That sounds fantastic. Like, it's fun. That's fun. Getting my, dying in a walk-in freezer, like that probably happens 9 to 10 times a year in the US alone. Just by happenstance. This, that's a story, right? When I get up to heaven, which I would not be going to hell. How did you die? Well, I tried to shoot a ghost, and from that moment on, I'm never paying for a meal again. Not once.
Hey, we had to tell that story again about the time you tried to shoot the ghost.
All right.
Oh,
you got me. Get me one more drink, and I'll start going on. Wynter, always a wonderful pleasure to have you here. But of course, people should know where else they can hear more from you. Where would they find?
They would find me on my podcast with my lovely co-host, scholar, Professor Karen Thompson for Waiting to Exhale. That's our show. And then you can find me on Twitter at Wynter Mitchell. Always there.
Yeah. And listen, an automatic follow. If you're not following Wynter on Twitter, you're using it wrong.
Oh, thanks.
It's true. No, I think you are an instant follow.
Thanks, dude.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Gina,
one of the reads that makes that hell site worth it.
Oh, thanks, babe. I love you guys. I do love you guys. Thank you. And thank you for having me back, too.
Oh, no, always a pleasure. Gina, where can people find you on these here?
Well, I write about movies and television at thespool.net. I also have a little side project going on right now. I am co-hosting the White Ladies in Crisis podcast, in which we are currently talking about the Apple Plus series Physical, which unfortunately I don't think anybody but me and my two co-hosts are currently watching. But it's pretty good. It's got a rough start, but if you give it time, it gets a lot better and very interesting. And I too am on Twitter way too much for my own good under Porcelain72.
But
do it today, people. Check it out.
No, I was going to say that, I love how cranky you are, Gina. I agree with your cranky. No, but I agree with your cranky. No, I know you aren't, but I agree with all your crankiness. I'm like, of course, absolutely. I agree. You're right.
So it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. If you want to find us, you've probably done it by now. What you haven't done maybe is rate and review us on iTunes. That makes us be seen and heard by more people. You might not have purchased a t-shirt from our TeePublic store. Like, the link is in your podcast catcher right now. You just click on it, go over to TeePublic, and we've got lots of great designs from you to choose from. And that pretty much does it. Next week, more Dish by Dish, and then we're back with a great movie, Another Bonker's Affair on Kill by Kill. But until then, don't worry, folks. The body count will continue. For myself, Gina, and Wynter. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.